Sanibonani, Dumelang, good evening and welcome to episode 185 of the Private Property Podcast. I'm your host, Zama Khumalo. It's the Wednesday edition of the Private Property Podcast, and if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Where have you been? It certainly is a pleasure to have you with us. I say I've even said Wednesday. I'm almost rushing this January to end. It's the Tuesday edition of the show. And of course, for all our brand new viewers, if you are joining us for the first time, whether you're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Instagram, then do go back to our YouTube and Facebook page and catch up on all the great episodes that you have missed. And to all our regular viewers, welcome back to the Private Property Podcast. It's great to have you with us. And of course, I never come alone. I love introducing all the other great shows that we have across the private property social media platforms. Of course, I'm talking about the Farming Podcast, which you can catch on your screens this evening, just after this show at 8 p.m. Umbali Noko comes to your screen with the Farming Podcast. So if you have green fingers or want to explore different things when it comes to agriculture, then that is the show for you. It comes to your screens every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. And to all the first-time home buyers, we bring you the first-time home buyers show every Wednesday evening at 7:45 with ST Claassen. And you can look forward to that show tomorrow evening with ST Claassen, where she takes you through the process of buying that first home, but speaks to people who've walked the path and how they did it, some of the mistakes that they made. And one of the big things that we love saying is you don't need to make mistakes that other people have made. So do make sure that you catch that show every Wednesday evening. And over the weekend, we never leave you alone. Chad brings you the Home Shoppers Show, where you get a sneak preview of some of the best estates and complexes that the country has on offer. You'll be able to get a snapshot of what you can expect if you want to buy in those particular estates and complexes, and really get a feel of what you're potentially signing up for should you opt to buy there. Those are some of the shows that you can expect here across the social media platforms that Private Property has on your screens very regularly. And of course, as usual, one of the other things that we love doing is running competitions. Now, for the next 12 weeks, we are running the Sherlock Holmes competition. We kickstarted it last week. And of course, this week is the second week, and we've got that second riddle that we have posted. We want you to follow where the riddle is leading you. And all you have to do is follow that riddle number 2. It says, where the water falls and the ibis leads the way. I have 4 places to rest my head and 3 to store my wheels. That is the second riddle for the Sherlock Holmes competition. Make sure you follow where the riddle leads you. Go, of course, onto our website, www.privateproperty.co.za, and let us know where you think it leads you, and you stand a chance of walking away with 5,000 Rand voucher. And we will be announcing that lucky winner on Friday. That's some of what you can expect here on Private Property, and as well as here on the Private Property Podcast with myself, Zama Khumalo. So do continue following us on social media. We love hearing from you. We simply love also seeing you sharing our posts with your friends and family on your social media platforms. Of course, you can also follow me on @zamantungwa_K. Now, this evening, we are looking at 2021 residential property outlook with Lew Geffen Sotheby'S International Realty. And I've got a special guest. I've got Yael Geffen, who's the CEO of Lew Geffen Sotheby'S International Realty. And I'm going to just go through her short bio because she's a powerhouse of a woman in the property space. And I think this is one of the things that we love doing here on the Private Property Podcast is bringing you the best experts to help us navigate our property journey and really guide us in making the best decisions. And as we kickstart the year, one of the things that we, of course, want to do is not only reflect on 2020 in the property space, but also what we can expect for 2021. Now, Yael Geffen is a CEO and shareholder of Lew Geffen Sotheby'S International Realty, as well as a member of the Europe, Middle East, India, and Africa Region Task Force for Sotheby'S International Realty. She grew up in a real estate dynasty established by her grandmother, Ada, and prior to joining the family business in 2009, she acquired extensive real estate marketing, brand building, and business development experience in the United States. Now, Yael is also an accomplished public and motivational speaker, and her broadcast experience includes hosting and producing her own show on Chai FM from 2013 to 2017. She's currently completing her professional certification as a global feminine power coach and is a 2020 winner of Standard Bank's prestigious Top Women in Property Awards. Yael, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Zama. Am I saying your name correctly?
You hit it out of the park, absolutely correctly.
Awesome. Lovely to be here.
It's only a pleasure to have you with us. I think, some of the things that our viewers this evening can expect in our conversation, we are looking at the 2021 residential property outlook. We certainly want to look at some of what can help both buyers and sellers in their 2021 property journey. We know a lot of our viewers are either current homeowners or aspiring homeowners. Some of them have already got that first property and are looking to expand their property portfolio. And we'll talk a little bit about what they can anticipate this year. Also, some trends that you probably, have picked up that we can look forward to in the 2021 year. But before we can talk about 2021, we obviously cannot talk about 2021 without reflecting a little bit on 2020, especially because so many things happened in 2020, specifically in the property industry. Perhaps take us through, your reflections on 2020 and some of the trends that we picked up in 2020, and perhaps some that we might see spill over into this new year.
Perfect. So if I had to come up with a word for 2020 in terms of the residential property market, it would possibly be adapt, and then adapt again. It was very much stop-start, as you know. Excuse me. Our industry came to an absolute standstill, and when it opened, boy, oh boy, did it open. And it ended off on a very good note. It was a booming market that ended off in December. I mean, we saw a huge surge from June till December. And if I compare December last year to December the year before, 2019, we had a 50% increase. So a lot of factors attributed to this. Interest rates, I mean, they've never been so good in 80 years. So the first-time buyers, it's very lucrative for them to buy a house right now. And perhaps even more lucrative than renting a property, because buying a home can be cheaper with that interest rate. Banks are doing a lot of favorable lending, which was a trend for last year, also going forward. Although if we look at the rise in unemployment and perhaps the distressed sales that might be on the market, they might put some cushions in there and not do 100%. I don't seem to think the interest rate is going to go anywhere this year. If anything, maybe towards the last quarter and rise maybe slightly, but not aggressive movement. I think the major theme for last year in terms of property was also how to enjoy your home again. And, we moved from this urban densification where everyone wants to be in the metropoles, everyone wants to be in the city, and everyone wants to be on a farm. I want to be on a farm. Everyone wants to have a beautiful garden, perhaps a pool. Then I need a home gym. I mean, we've gone up from lock up and go to a staycation, really, if you think about it. So that's going to carry on for sure. Semigration as well is also going to continue, because now that people are working remote, they're thinking, well, let's live in the place we want to live in. We don't have to go into work every day with congested traffic. We can live perhaps in Leisner or the Garden Route or the Cape. And then if I need to go into the office, I can travel once a week or commute. So it's been a lot of ups and downs, really. It's been exciting and it's been challenging at the same time.
And, Yael, as you're talking about how one of the big things that we saw last year, and it's certainly trickling into 2021, is more and more of us want to enjoy our homes more. More and more of us are seeing that, when we bought our properties, we initially did buy that lock up and go. And now there's nowhere to go. So we're almost rethinking our homes. We're rethinking the way that the functionality of our homes and what we're doing and not doing. And of course, this is also playing into how people are right now choosing to buy homes and some of the things that they're looking for in a home, because we know that COVID or us being indoors is not going to go away, certainly not this year. And I feel as though some of those trends are probably going to last far further than, once we've got the vaccine to the majority of the population. Many of us are probably still going to want to have those staycation, as you put it. Perhaps then we should maybe look at some of those things that buyers are probably looking for, because we are seeing that there are quite a lot of buyers, especially the first-time home buyer segment. And this is for a variety of different reasons. You've highlighted how one of them is because of the historically low interest rates. And so these buyers do have needs. I mean, you're going from renting, you can now afford your home ownership. Perhaps what are some of the key things that buyers right now in the market are looking for when it comes to shopping for their property? And perhaps even break it down to the different segments, because I know the first-time home buyer who's in perhaps the middle segment may not necessarily be looking for the same thing as a home buyer who's in a slightly higher segment.
Sure. Well, like you said, the word for this year, I would say, is reset, because everything's been reset, and we're realizing sorry, I'm seeing my reflection in the ring lights. I'm just going to do this and look very relaxed. We're seeing that it's this, like you say, it's not going away anytime soon. And I think a lot of people came into this new year thinking, new year. And everyone's like, oh gosh, is it December yet? Because it's still the same. It's still the same of what we've been experiencing.
Yeah.
So yes, lifestyle has almost replaced position. And that's a definite shift. Whether you're a first-time buyer or whether you are in a more luxury upmarket segment or sector, you will be looking at amenities for sure. You will be considering now, does this complex have a pool? Or if not, and there's another lockdown, I don't know, maybe we should go for one a little bit further out, but that has a pool. You're going to be thinking of lifestyle a heck of a lot. And that sweet spot really at the moment of what's moving is under the 3 million rand market. I'd say 500,000 to about 2.5 mil. Those are really your first-time buyers. And it's really exciting for them because it hasn't been affordable to buy until now. If we look at the luxury space, the properties aren't moving as quickly, but what we are seeing is that sellers have come down and they are realistic now. They're realizing, hold on a second, if I really want to sell right now, I have to be in line with the market. So in terms of our brand, we have properties in the luxury sector that are moving, and sellers have come down and become realistic. But there are transactions happening everywhere, in every market. That's why there was such a boom. I'm not sure how long this boom is going to last, because obviously some of it was pent-up demand. I'm hoping that it lasts well into May, June, but we don't know what's coming. And that's the thing. It's not predictable. It's adapt again. And we're just going to have to remain fluid and see what happens.
I think, one of the big things that you've certainly highlighted is that this year is the year of the Great Reset, and both sellers and buyers have to come on board, especially if you have, a serious buyer and a serious seller. We're right now seeing that there certainly are a lot of serious buyers who are quite, aggressive in wanting to buy that property and getting that foot in the property ladder. And so one of the big things, of course, that I've had an interest in, and that I think a lot of people who are watching the property trends are also interested in, is the consumer behavior, and whether some of what we saw last year, as you're saying, we saw a lot of record high sales, and different guests that I've had on from your, conveyancers, even estate agents, saying that that they actually hit record high sales in that third quarter and even final quarter of 2020. And in many ways, because of how we've been working from home, living at home, and having to adapt to, COVID-19, many people are saying right now that, there's a lot of change in terms of the consumer behavior, and some of it is permanent change. I mean, if you can reflect a little bit on the property buyers, the consumer, and perhaps some of the changes that you're seeing that they may have, especially looking into 2021. And this could even be people who are looking to rent, because in as much as we know that many people are looking to buy, there are probably some people who are still looking to rent, and maybe now they can say, look, I know that there's a lot of stock on the market, so I can be slightly more cheaper even in negotiating a rental price that's been advertised. What are your sentiments when it comes to the perhaps permanent consumer change, when it comes to consumers who are specifically looking at whether buying or selling property or even renting their property?
So Zama, definitely in the virtual digital space. I mean, that's where we're seeing most of the buyers, if not all, at this point, and it varies according to which stages and levels of lockdown we're at. But I think the brands and businesses that have really taken advantage of this and worked on their digital footprint, and like soon we're going to be seeing AI, and that's going to make buying and selling a lot more interesting. But I'd say they're using WhatsApp chatbots and virtual tours. Now it's not a nice to have, it's an expectation, and rightly so. You'd have all these beautiful cameras, the 360-degree cameras like Matterport and that, and we should be showing our buyers these images, these full images of their homes. Also, you have a lot of virtual show days that have happened, Facebook watch parties of homes. I mean, things that one never even thought possible have just kind of fitted into the digital realm, which I think for a buyer is quite nice, but one can never take away that personal touch and the human touch. And what was interesting is what we saw with our property brokers nationwide is this time, the lockdown, was the time to phone their clients and see how they were doing, because everything was virtual. Everyone was seeing webinars. Everyone was sick to their eyes watching their screens. No one wanted one more virtual awards event. I mean, you mentioned virtual or webinar or Zoom call, and then you get the call from your local real estate agent, and you keep them on the phone for hours because they're your only contact with the outside world, So there's space for everything. In terms of just repeat the second part of your question.
So the second part is around the permanent change of behavior of the consumers, whether they're looking to buy or sell their property, or those who are looking to go and rent, essentially.
Sure. Okay, so what is also happening right now, because it's such a buyer's market, especially in that space, is that it's going to drive the prices up in that space. And what we're seeing in a few pockets is some stock shortages. There's tons of buyers, but now there's a bit of a stock shortage situation, and the prices will be driven up. Definitely with rentals, you can be quite cheeky. You can, because it is more affordable to buy, depending on your price bracket. So yes, definitely can be quite cheeky. And I think landlords and real estate agencies dealing with rentals are very accommodating and working really hard for their tenants at the moment. I think that about covers it, unless you'd like to tap into anything else.
Well, I think, and I'll get to the next bit right now, Yael. I want to welcome our viewers to send through in questions and comments. I'm in conversation this evening with Yael Geffen, who's the CEO of Lew Geffen Sotheby'S International Realty. We are talking about 2021 residential property outlook. And I think one of the big things that I want to hear from viewers at home is, what are some of your expectations about the property sector in 2021? What are some of the things that you'd like to see happen in property in 2021? I know a lot of us probably wanted to see interest rates go down last week. Unfortunately, they remain unchanged. And I know we were probably watching with bated breath, thinking whether it would go down. I think a lot of people knew that it certainly wasn't going to go up. So we'll certainly be watching that one closely in the coming, quarters to see whether or not the MPC is going to have any changes in the interest rates. But from you at home, what are some of the things that you'd want to see happening in the property space? I mean, if you are renting right now, is there something that you're seeing that that's a particular pressure point as a renter? If you are already a landlord, what is that pressure point that you want to be addressed for in the year 2021? Because I think one of the big things that we've noticed is, because we spent so much time at home last year, we weren't stuck in traffic at all. I think if anything, some people enjoyed waking up, getting out of bed 2 minutes before 8 when they had an 8 o'clock meeting. We've also had time to kind of sit back and think through the different areas of our lives, think through our different asset classes that we're investing in, and really reflect a little bit about what we want to see more of in those respective areas, and perhaps what we want to see less of. So if there's something that you definitely want to see less of in 2021 in the property space, then do let us know. We'll be taking your questions. And what are some of the things in the property space? And you are obviously operating at a very at a bigger scale than a lot of us who are, whether dealing with managing our own portfolios, regardless of the scale. What are some of the things that you'd want to see more of and less of in the property sector for 2021?
I just wanted to touch on something which I didn't mention with your last question, which I see as a big trend. This idea of the cottagepreneur, what 2020 has brought us in its ability to for us to adapt is really the side hustle concept. I hate the word or phrase side hustle. But for people, they are also seeing their current homes as alternate revenue streams, and either doing a bit of an Airbnb situation or building a cottage. And another trend that I think is here to stay is multi-generational living. People will buy a massive property, perhaps for their whole family to live on, including either parents, elderly parents, etc. And then they can all enjoy the space with more amenities. What would I like to see more of, Zama? Consistency. but I'm not sure if that's going to be met. My needs are going to be met. I think that there's been a wonderful camaraderie amongst the real estate players, the industry leaders. We're all fighting the same battle. So that has been very nice. And I feel like there is one voice now in terms of the real estate industry, because it used to be quite too diverse and too many bodies, etc. So I'm quite chuffed about that. Also, I think we just have to remain creative and open to changes. I do think that we're going to see a lot more modular homes as well, off the grid homes, which, I set up my lighting station here tonight because even though it's not supposed to be load shedding, there's a substation that's gone out. And this kind of thing, we're working from home now. This is going to affect our lives forever. So, when it comes to going off the grid, it's a very sound investment if you think about it. Or if you're looking for properties now, I think buyers will look at off the grid and more eco-friendly, sustainable properties than before. Modular homes also, they must go with a a reputable company and get certainly lots of testimonials, actual client testimonials of those who have gone on this journey. And also building extra workspaces, home offices, or work pods, perhaps. This is going to be here for a while. And if not, maybe change the entire culture of our workspace and home offices, investing in home offices, getting your own room, perhaps building a little cottage on the ground is also going to be there. What would I like to see less of? Let me think. Well, I would like to see less political instability, because that has a huge knock-on effect with our economy. It also has a huge knock-on effect with foreign investors wanting to invest here, and also that luxury segment of the market. If there is political instability, they are more hesitant to either rebuy or invest in a new home. So I would love to see this country come together out of this crisis, and for Cyril to really pave the way forward to boost our economy even further. That would be on my wish list.
I'm in conversation this evening with the CEO of Lew Geffen Sotheby'S International Realty, Yael Geffen. We are taking your questions and comments. We're looking at the 2021 residential property outlook. If you have any questions for the property sector looking into 2021, I certainly want to hear from you. I also want to hear from you at home. What do you want to see less of when it comes to our property landscape? And what do you want to see less of this year when it comes to our property landscape? We've got a question here from Facebook, and Yael, you're probably actually the best person to pose this particular question to. And this one is coming from Sinantogozo Saneliso Ngubane, who asks, unrelated question, is now a good time to join the estate agency profession?
So there are more barriers to entry than they've ever been in terms of legislation and exams and what you have to do. And becoming an intern, in a way, is difficult because you have to shadow. However, that being said, because the industry has reduced a lot, there is amazing space for young entrepreneurial rookies to climb that ladder. And boy, you can climb it quickly. All you need is a great brand, a great mentor agent, and away you go. So yes, you have to obviously jump through the hoops of doing all the qualifications and writing the exams, etc., in your logbook. I think it's an exciting time to become an estate agent, because I think now it's quite a lucrative career in a sense. It used to be seen more as the woman who perhaps got divorced. That's how it started off, and became a estate agent so that they had flexi time. And now you've really got estate agents that have become quite iconic names that are, they've got their own Instagram profile and they're broadcasting, and it's quite it's almost a bit of a celebrity status if you really work it well. So for those young people out there, I think this is a lucrative career. You can earn very well, and yes, you're going to have to jump through a few hoops and earn all your qualifications and do what you need to do. But I would encourage it for sure.
We've got another one on Facebook from one of our top fans, Martha Shingane, saying, the elephant in the room, what is the outlook for the rent to buy market, particularly in estates? Should we still dive in or think of other options?
So you say, rent to buy. So you say, you said rent to buy or buy to rent?
She actually means buy to rent, as opposed to rent to buy. So, okay. So those of us who want to buy in estates to rent out, yes.
Right. So here's the thing. I still think investment property is a very sound bet right now. I was saying last year that if you have any extra money lying around, buy, because you won't get deals like this again. I always think investment property is a good idea, and I would encourage it for sure, because the rentals are going to go up. Yes, right now you might not cover more than your bond or just slightly more, but it will go up. Remember, there's also going to be a stock shortage, and it's going to push everything up, and things are going to shift. And I have an investment property. I would really encourage people to do it, and don't get put off in the short term for what you can really benefit from the long term. And that's some advice I have. And estates, she specifically mentioned estates. Estates are a sound investment in terms of security, etc. What is more popular right now are the bigger spaces and freestanding homes, freehold. So, but that's not to say that people are not going to want to live in estates. So I hope that has answered your question. Zama, have I answered her question, or have I left anything out?
You definitely have, Yael. And we've got another question here also coming through from Facebook. This one is coming from Risheda Dianand. Apologies if I've butchered your name there. And the question is, I've been trying to sell my holiday home since before lockdown. I found that the estate agent refused to evaluate agent's fees, but asked me to reduce the price. Would it be more lucrative for everyone to compromise so it's all not such a loss? So if we're looking at selling right now and perhaps struggling to sell at the price point that we want, because I know that there've been a lot of sellers who would want a certain price point, but an estate agent will say, look, I don't think we'll be getting offers at that price point, but the same agent is not willing to negotiate on their fees. How can we almost best mitigate, should estate agents also try and sort of meet some of the sellers halfway when it comes to being slightly negotiable on their fees?
Okay, so this is a bit of a two-way street, because if you think of it, if you think of professions that were hit hard in terms of lockdown, estate agents were hit very hard. Remember, they are earned commission and everything else is risk. So if a deal falls through no fault to their own, perhaps the bank didn't come through, maybe the buyer didn't put in the guarantees, etc., all that work that was done is on risk. So I'm very firm that a good estate agent should definitely earn his or her commission, because they put in the work, and with that work gets the results. Okay. However, that being said, one has to also take a lot of other factors into you've got to look at other factors and realize that should estate agents perhaps be more negotiable at the moment? I can't say yes to that. There is a bit more commission compression that's happening naturally, but I think it's about the relationship with your estate agent and the kind of relationship you have. I think they always say a good agreement is where both parties are slightly uncomfortable, and that's a good agreement. But if you think about our estate agents and what they've been through this last year, people may have gotten decreases in their income or been forced to take leave. Estate agents don't get that. It's all commission-based. And I think they're the real heroes of lockdown, the ones that have lasted, the ones that have treated their clients well, and the ones that have concluded deals. And this booming market, they deserved this booming market towards the last quarter, because there were times where it was touch and go for a lot of our estate agents. So it's a bit of a two-way street, but yes, one must always be slightly uncomfortable in a good negotiation.
Now, yeah, before I let you go this evening, any final tips for our viewers who are, looking at 2021, whether they're looking at growing their property portfolio, whether they're looking at buying that first property, so move from living at home or renting to finally being a first-time home buyer? What tips would you share with them as they navigate their property journey in 2021?
I think the best case scenario is to educate yourself, either with a property professional like an agent, or do a lot of research before you make decisions. It's volatile. There's no guarantee of where the market's going to go. I do think property is always a sound investment. Yes, the rental market is slightly depressed right now, but for all we know, next year it may be booming. We just don't know. So I like to tell people to go with their gut, to team up with the right professional, and to do as much research as possible. And then the rest, nature will take its course, I guess.
And that's such a great place to leave it there, Yael. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
And that is Yael Geffen, who is the CEO of Lew Geffen Sotheby'S International Realty. It certainly has been a pleasure to be with you this evening from the Private Property Podcast team and myself, Zama Khumalo. We've enjoyed having you with us. Remember, we are running that competition that you can enter on our social media platforms. It's Sherlock Holmes. We want you to crack that riddle. And of course, you can stand a chance of walking away with 5,000 Rand vouchers at the end of the week. And the riddle that we have for the second week is where the water falls and the ibis leads the way. I have 4 places to rest my head and 3 to store my wheels. That is the second riddle for this week that we are running that Sherlock Holmes competition. All the best to you at home who are going to be entering this competition. I'm certainly excited to see where you think the answer is going to lead you. You do go to www.privateproperty.co.za in order to, potentially search for where it may lead you. And of course, we will be announcing that lucky winner on Friday. Well, that's it from me, Zama Khumalo, and the rest of the Private Property Podcast team. This evening, I do not leave you alone. Balinoko will be joining you shortly at 8 p.m. with the Farming Podcast. Until tomorrow, hoping you're staying home and staying safe.
Hi, I'm Clifton Smithers. I live in Belito, where my partners and I run a business called Union 3. As a family, we chose to move here about 6 years ago. What attracted us to the area was the safe and relaxed lifestyle of the North Coast. We're surrounded by so much natural beauty, and we love that it's so casual. It's just not as intense as a busy city. In fact, that's one of the main reasons there's so many people moving into the area. There's some amazing lifestyle estates out here. We've got Zimbali, Brettonwood Estate, and Zimbiti, to name a few. The Belito Lifestyle Centre caters to everyone's needs. There's also some smaller commercial centres like Tiffany's in Salt Rock. There's some excellent restaurants to choose from, and there's a really wide variety of activities on offer. From mountain biking out on the trails to surfing at any one of the beaches, there really is something for everyone. This quiet little town really comes alive over the weekend. The live concerts and the farmers market at the lychee orchard is very popular. With the new international airport just 15 minutes down the road and the unmatched lifestyle that this place offers, it's no wonder that the North Coast is the fastest growing town in South Africa. My family and I absolutely love it here, and this is our neighborhood.